The sun cuts through the canopy, revealing the sheer scale of the two creatures now staring across a silent field. But behind their movements lies something even more terrifying: biology. Every tooth, every muscle, every inch of their anatomy was forged over millions of years, designed not for beauty, but for survival. T-Rex, the meat-eating predator, and Brachiosaurus, the towering herbivore, couldn't be more different in form. But that difference is what makes this potential clash so fascinating and dangerous. T-Rex is built like a battering ram. Its skull is massive, over 1.5 meters long, designed to anchor the most powerful jaw muscles in dinosaur history. Its bite force is unmatched on land, more than 60,000 newtons, capable of crushing bone with ease. Its teeth aren't just sharp, they're thick, serrated, and banana-shaped, perfect for slicing flesh and shattering skeletal structure. One bite from this predator doesn't just injure, it ends. Its eyes face forward, giving it true depth perception. That, combined with an exceptional sense of smell and powerful leg muscles, allows it to stalk and pounce with shocking speed for a creature weighing up to 9 tons. Its tail, long and heavy, acts as a counterbalance, helping stabilize the body during movement and attack. But this design also has limits. Its tiny arms, though powerful, offer no help in a fight like this. And its bulk means agility is sacrificed for raw power. In contrast, Brachiosaurus is a marvel of slow, towering defense, reaching heights of 18 meters and weighing over 50 tons. Its greatest weapon is not offense, it's size. Its neck alone is longer than a car. That long neck, supported by an arched backbone and powerful muscles, allows it to access food no other land animal could. Its legs, especially the front ones, are thick, like columns carrying massive weight, while keeping it stable even on uneven terrain. Its skin is thick, leathery, and covered in small, bony nodules, natural armor. Though not invincible, it makes superficial bites from smaller predators nearly useless. Its tail is long and muscular, capable of delivering powerful whips in defense. And while it has no claws or teeth meant for battle, it has something even more important: the ability to make most predators think twice before attacking. When T-Rex attacks a hadrosaur, it relies on speed and surprise. One bite to the spine, and the hunt is over. But when facing a creature like Brachiosaurus, everything changes. Brachiosaurus can't be taken down in a single strike. Its bones are thick, its legs are strong. Its sheer height makes the most vulnerable areas, like the neck or chest, hard to reach for a predator whose own head barely rises above the shoulder of its prey. That means T-Rex must aim lower, a bite to the hind leg or under the belly. But this comes with risks. Those legs can crush, that tail can swing, and the skin, even if pierced, won't make the giant collapse in seconds. T-Rex would have to commit to a long fight, something it rarely does. Its biology is designed for quick, brutal finishes, not prolonged struggles with giants. There's also the issue of energy. Brachiosaurus doesn't need to win. It just needs to stay standing. One good kick, one tail swipe that forces T-Rex to retreat, and the herbivore survives. T-Rex, on the other hand, burns thousands of calories every hour. If it engages and fails to bring Brachiosaurus down, it walks away wounded, weaker, and hungrier. And in nature, that's a death sentence. So when people imagine this fight, they often assume T-Rex is the obvious aggressor. But its biology tells a different story. Its strength is in precision, not chaos. It needs opportunity, weakness, hesitation. It does not attack recklessly. Brachiosaurus, meanwhile, survives because it doesn't flinch. It doesn't run. Its entire body says one thing: you can try, but it won't be easy. And that message, spoken through muscle and bone, is sometimes louder than a roar. Evolution crafted two different survival strategies here. One built to kill, one built to endure. And when those two forces collide, the outcome isn't just about violence, it's about design. One lives by chasing, one lives by standing its ground, and the battlefield doesn't always favor the bold. Sometimes it favors the immovable. In the next section, we'll see how these two titans use not only their bodies, but their behavior to survive. Because nature doesn't just shape bodies, it shapes instincts. And when one of these creatures makes the first move, it won't just be muscle that determines who survives. It'll be the mind behind the movement. In the natural world, every creature is a living blueprint, shaped over millions of years to survive in its unique environment. When a predator like T. rex faces off against a gigantic herbivore like Brachiosaurus, it's not just a battle of teeth and muscle, it's a collision between two opposite biological systems: fast, precise offense versus slow, immovable defense. T-Rex, often called a killing machine, is in fact a masterclass in evolutionary optimization. Its skull, over 0.5 meters long, is built like biological concrete, anchoring massive jaw muscles. Its bite force exceeds 60,000 newtons, stronger than any land animal ever recorded, capable of crushing bones in a single devastating bite. Its teeth aren't sharp like razors, they're thick, curved, and deeply serrated, functioning like bone-crushing daggers. Each tooth can reach 30 centimeters in length, locked into the jaw like iron bolts in a steel frame. Its eyes face forward, giving it stereoscopic vision, allowing accurate depth perception down to the centimeter. Its sense of smell is exceptionally strong, helping it locate blood decay or injured prey from kilometers away. Its body stretches 12 meters long, weighing around 8 to 9 tons. Its rear legs are muscular, capable of reaching up to 25 to 30 km/h in short bursts, more than enough to close the distance on most herbivores. Its long, heavy tail acts as a counterweight during chases or quick pivots. The short forearms, only about 1 meter long, with 2 fingers, are surprisingly strong but practically useless in combat against something as massive as Brachiosaurus. In truth, T-Rex has one weapon: its bite. Everything else in its body exists to support that single, lethal motion. Now contrast that with Brachiosaurus. Standing up to 18 meters tall and weighing over 50 tons, it doesn't need weapons. Its entire body is a living fortress. Its neck, stretching over 9 meters, lets it feed from the treetops while keeping its vulnerable head far from ground-level threats. Its spine is reinforced. Its front legs are taller than the rear, giving it a forward-leaning stance ideal for reaching high foliage without excessive energy use. Its feet are broad, supporting its enormous mass with stability. Its skin is thick, possibly covered in scales or small bony nodules that act like soft armor. While not invulnerable, it provides substantial resistance to shallow bites. Its tail is long and powerful, capable of delivering bone-rattling whips. A single tail strike from a 50-ton creature could be the equivalent of a high-speed truck crash. Its front legs, if used in a stomping motion, could crush the pelvis or rib cage of any predator foolish enough to come too close. Imagine a scenario. T-Rex approaches from the side, aiming for the base of Brachiosaurus's neck. As it lunges, the herbivore instinctively swings its foreleg forward, not to run, but to strike. A direct hit to T-Rex's shoulder could dislocate the jaw or fracture its upper torso. One counterstrike, not repeated violence, is sometimes enough to turn a hunter into the hunted. But Brachiosaurus's real defense isn't just its tail or legs, it's the sheer difficulty of being taken down. It doesn't need to attack, it only needs to stay standing. With a massive heart and an efficient respiratory system, it can maintain energy over long periods without tiring. This stamina makes it one of the hardest creatures in its ecosystem to subdue. Here's the tactical dilemma. T Rex is too short to reach the kill zones. Its jaws can't easily strike the neck or chest of Brachiosaurus without rearing up, which would throw it off balance. Attacking from the rear means entering the tail's kill zone. Even if it bites into the thigh, the thick flesh and muscle won't bring the giant down instantly, and T-Rex's style is not prolonged combat. If T-Rex is a heavyweight swordsman hoping for one precise strike to end the match, then Brachiosaurus is a fortress that doesn't need to strike back as long as it doesn't fall. T-Rex excels at hunting smaller, faster, isolated prey. But Brachiosaurus doesn't live alone. It moves in groups, often flanked by others of its kind. This social dynamic further reduces the risk of a successful solo attack. Of course, no fortress is impenetrable. If a Brachiosaurus is isolated, injured, or aging, that's where T-Rex thrives. In such moments, one crushing bite to the hip or lower neck could inflict massive trauma. If the giant collapses and can't get up, it becomes a feast. But here's the cost. T-Rex must risk everything for one chance at glory. One mistimed bite, one missed lunge, and it walks away, wounded, bleeding, exhausted, and that in the wild means death. So the question is, will T-Rex risk it? Will it gamble its entire survival on taking down a living tower of bone and muscle that could end the fight with a single defensive blow? This leads us to the next part, where bodies give way to behavior. Because in nature, survival is rarely about brute force alone. It's about how that force is used. In the next section, we'll explore the mindset, the instincts, and the survival strategies that decide whether a predator dares to strike or a giant dares to stand its ground. In the wild, survival isn't always about power or weapons. Sometimes it's a game of patience, instinct, and the ability to walk away. Not every creature with fangs chooses to fight, and not every unarmed giant is defenseless. Between a predator like T-Rex and a massive herbivore like Brachiosaurus, the outcome often depends not on strength, but on how each uses its body to survive. T-Rex was a solitary hunter. It didn't hunt in packs. That meant every chase, every attack was a solo gamble. There was no backup, no second chance. If it was injured, it died slowly and alone. That's why its behavior was never reckless. T-Rex didn't chase anything that moved. It watched, it waited, it calculated. And it only attacked when it was sure the fight could end quickly in its favor. Paleontologists believe T-Rex behaved more like a modern-day ambush predator similar to a crocodile. It relied on its keen sense of smell to find blood rot or weakness. It stalked quietly, looking for limps, wounds, or signs of isolation. Only when those signs aligned did it strike with overwhelming force, aiming to finish the battle in seconds. If the first bite missed or failed, it would back off. Meanwhile, Brachiosaurus didn't fight, but it wasn't passive. Its instinct was to stay calm, stand its ground. When danger appeared, it didn't panic. It would turn its body lower, its tail raise its head, and shift its weight forward. And if forced to defend, it would swing its tail like a whip or stomp with its front legs, not to kill, but to repel. And Brachiosaurus didn't stand alone. It lived in herds. When one was threatened, others might close ranks, forming a natural wall of muscle and mass. This defensive behavior has psychological effects on predators. T-Rex, for all its power, preferred hunting hadrosaurs, smaller, weaker, and prone to flee in chaos. When it faced a towering creature twice its height, 5 times its weight, showing no fear, T-Rex was forced to hesitate and reassess the risks. Imagine this. T-Rex is starving. It hasn't eaten in days. It smells a nearby Brachiosaurus, feeding alone, separated from its group. It moves silently through the brush. At 50 meters, it stops to observe. The Brachiosaurus is unaware. T-Rex steps forward just a few more paces. Suddenly, a small bird flies up. The Brachiosaurus lifts its head. It doesn't bolt. It doesn't scream. It simply turns, braces its legs, and stands still. To T-Rex, that's like hitting a wall. One bite to the leg might injure the giant, but would it be enough to bring it down? And if the tail swung back or a foot stomped, what if the bite didn't disable the target? Would T-Rex retreat or take the risk? That answer depends on its hunger, stamina, and confidence in the moment. In many cases, T-Rex would choose not to fight. It would walk away, seeking easier prey. But if it was desperate, if rain exposed a trail of blood, if the Brachiosaurus was limping or sick, those conditions might tip the balance, and the predator would attack. In that case, it would strike from behind, avoid the tail, and pour everything into the first bite. Brachiosaurus, though unarmed, had a defensive instinct, like a built-in system. A tail swing didn't need to land on the head just close enough to force T-Rex to dodge. A stomp didn't need to kill just to push the attacker back. Its calm response disrupted the predator's strategy. Great hunters succeed by inducing fear, but if the prey shows none, the predator loses its edge. We see this dynamic in modern animals too. Lions rarely challenge adult elephants. Crocodiles avoid full-grown hippos. Cheetahs don't pick fights with buffalo herds. Not because they can't, but because the price of failure is too high. T-Rex wasn't foolish. It wasn't reckless. Every move it made was guided by instincts refined for survival. On the other side, Brachiosaurus survived not because it was aggressive, but because it didn't have to fight to live. It stood firm. It waited. And sometimes not backing down is the most powerful counterattack of all. So in the end, between T-Rex and Brachiosaurus, who makes the first move, who blinks, who misjudges the moment? These instinctive decisions playing out in mere seconds may seal the fate of both giants. And that brings us to the next part where theory meets reality. We'll simulate the confrontation, one apex predator, one towering herbivore, and a battle that history never recorded, but science dares to imagine. The sky was dark and heavy with clouds. Distant thunder rumbled. A cold wind swept through the forest, as if nature itself were holding its breath. In a clearing stood a lone Brachiosaurus, calmly pulling leaves from the tallest trees. It had strayed from its herd maybe just for a few minutes, but in the wild, a few minutes is all it takes, because the predator was watching. T-Rex had been observing from a distance. It knew this was a rare chance, a giant, but alone. No herd for protection. But this wasn't ordinary prey. Nearly 18 meters tall, weighing more than 50 tons, with skin as thick as petrified bark. One mistake, and the predator wouldn't rise again. But hunger silences fear, and instinct demanded action. T-Rex crept forward, silent as a shadow. Every step was measured. Not a sound rose above the wind. At 40 meters it paused. Its target, the rear leg exposed, unguarded, the predator tilted its head, calculating the angle of attack. The Brachiosaurus, unaware, continued feeding. A bird on its shoulder fluttered away, calling softly. At that moment, T-Rex lowered its head and lunged. It burst through the foliage, its footsteps slamming the ground like a war drum. Within seconds, 40 meters shrank to 10. The Brachiosaurus turned its head. Its eyes widened. But there was no panic. Instead, its body reacted with calm precision. Front leg, braced tail, dropped weight, shifted forward. T-Rex charged from the left jaws, wide teeth flashing in the stormlight. Its target, the right thigh. The first bite landed. Its teeth plunged into thick muscle, ripping through flesh. Blood sprayed. The Brachiosaurus bellowed deep and low, like the roar of the earth itself. But it didn't fall. It spun sharply, its tail snapping back like a whip. The tail struck T-Rex's lower abdomen, knocking it sideways. It stumbled several meters back, not injured, but off balance. The Brachiosaurus stomped with its front feet, sending a ripple through the soil. It didn't run. It turned to shield its wounded side. Blood dripped, but its gaze was steady. T-Rex snarled. It stepped back, then circled right, looking for another angle. The Brachiosaurus followed, never letting its flanks stay open. T-Rex needed a finishing move. The longer this dragged on, the more likely it would lose the advantage. It lunged again, this time head-on. A dangerous choice. The Brachiosaurus towered above, but T-Rex aimed low at the softer belly beneath the ribcage. It ducked, lunged forward, and clamped its jaws onto the left side. But before it could tighten the grip, a front leg crashed down, skimming past its shoulder and striking its hip. The impact didn't break bone, but it knocked T-Rex off balance. It roared, then retreated, stumbling. Its eyes were wide, its breathing shallow and fast. The Brachiosaurus exhaled, lowered its head, stomped again. Blood flowed, but it still stood. And to T-Rex, that was terrifying. 5 minutes had passed. For a predator like T-Rex, that was too long. Its heart pounded. Its breath grew ragged. Never had it spent this much energy without ending a hunt. It stepped back, still watching, but something deeper inside began to stir the instinct to survive. One more hit, and it might not walk away. The Brachiosaurus stepped forward, not to attack, but to show it was still standing. T-Rex exhaled, then turned. No roar, no panic, just silence. It walked away. Because in nature, survival doesn't belong to the one who strikes the most, but to the one who knows when to stop. From above, the forest returned to stillness. Clouds parted. Sunlight filtered through the trees, casting golden rays onto a floor littered with footprints, blood, and fallen leaves. The Brachiosaurus stood alone, slowly lowering its head. It hadn't won, but it hadn't fallen, and sometimes that's all it takes to stay alive. The battle ended without a victorious roar. There was no triumphant fall, no final cry of dominance. T-Rex withdrew. Brachiosaurus remained standing. Both bore wounds, both breathed heavily, but both survived. And in nature, that alone is the ultimate victory. Because unlike the stories we often tell, nature doesn't care who's fiercer, stronger, or faster. It only cares about one thing: who's left standing. And to remain standing, sometimes it's not about striking harder, but knowing when to stop. T-Rex wasn't weak. In the right moment with the right prey, it was a walking nightmare. But today, it chose not to continue. Not out of fear, but because it knew the cost of one wrong gamble could be everything. And that's not cowardice, it's evolutionary intelligence. Brachiosaurus didn't fight back. It didn't chase, didn't roar, didn't declare victory, but it held its ground, stayed calm, and forced its attacker to retreat. For a creature without claws or fangs, standing still became its greatest defense. And that's what made it a symbol of survival for its entire era. Think back to the fight. Every bite, every tail whip, every moment T-Rex hesitated, and every time Brachiosaurus stood firm. These weren't random reactions. They were the language of evolution, shaped over millions of years. It's no coincidence that both creatures were apex survivors, because both understood wisdom often beats aggression. And maybe watching this you realize the real battles in life aren't about defeating others. They're about knowing when to charge and when to stand still. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's what lets you live to fight another day. So, what do you think? If the battle had taken place in a swamp where Brachiosaurus couldn't turn easily, would T-Rex have won? What if it had happened at night, where T-Rex had the advantage of vision, and what if the challenger wasn't Rex, but Spinosaurus? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. Your insights help us keep building this world of prehistoric wonders. And if you found value in this journey, Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a like, and share the video with your fellow dinosaur fans, because more untold battles are waiting. And maybe your comment will inspire the next one. You've witnessed T-Rex versus Brachiosaurus, the predator versus the gentle giant. But what if the next challenger can swim? What if it's smart enough to avoid the bite? What if it's a creature we haven't even discovered yet? We'll be back, and the next battle might be even more brutal.